I had a dream this morning, and aside of all the other details, there was this person who actually asked me, presumably I had known the Esperanto language. I don't know if you're familiar with that language. It's a completely artificially created language from humans. For humans, there's not a single country or place on earth that has it as a native language. And so in my dream, this person approaches me and asks, okay, I know you know Esperanto, you're good with languages, but remind me again, why? And I sense this attitude, trying to be sarcastic and dismiss my choices. So my answer was for the pure fun. And I don't expect you to remember or understand that such a novel concept, so don't be shy and ask me again next time. And then I woke up. So I felt so good, to be able to come up with this nice, clever, super quick and sharp comeback when someone gives you that sarcastic attitude. And it didn't matter that it was a dream. And then on second thought, it occurred to me that this is actually a very good expression of Mars in Gemini. Mars left Taurus and entered Gemini yesterday at 3:29 p.m. for the U.S. Eastern Time, which is my time here in the Northern Virginia area. And I guess we're already plugging into that energy because there it is. You have the clever Gemini and the quick and sharp response from Mars. I was like, oh yes, I love that. And I'm looking forward to the next month or so. I think might be a little bit less than a month for Mars in Gemini. You might be already feeling it. But then, as with everything else, there's this human tendencies to go into the extreme. So remember, freedom lies in the middle, not in the extremes. And we need to walk a tight line here with Mars in Gemini. How to be clever, glib, sharp, without hurting others, without hurting ourselves, without going too much into the extreme. And so I can actually go and talk about Mars in Gemini for a long time. But, today I want to do something else. This is one of those cases where no amount of explanation can actually beat being in the state, that aligned state where you walk the middle line of Mars in Gemini and you're clever, glib, and sharp, but you don't go overboard and hurt yourself or people. And so instead of explaining and exploring that Mars in Gemini, I will actually give you the means to be in that field, that harmonized and super aligned field of that combination Mars in Gemini. And I will give you a Jin Shin Jyutsu self-help flow. It will come actually from the correspondence between the 12 daily function energy. Remember, in Jin Shin Jyutsu, we take the daily energy that supports us and divide it into 12 parts. And we go with lung function energy, large intestine function energy, stomach function energy, etc. So we have 12 parts, 12 faces of the same energy that actually manifests itself for 2 hours every day. In traditional Chinese medicine, this will be called more the energy of the meridians. So you have the lung meridian, the large intestine meridian, etc. But because the division is in 12, it lends itself for a perfect connection, an analogy with the 12 division of the zodiac of astrology. And I use a Western astrology, so we're going to use the tropical astrology. And so I match lung function energy to the first in the astrology, which is Aries. And then we have large intestine, which is number 2, and number 2 in astrology is Taurus. And so you can guess now, 3, which will be Gemini in astrology, will correspond to number 3 in the daily energetic division, which will be the stomach function energy or stomach meridian if you're familiar with the traditional Chinese medicine. So how do you keep the stomach function energy harmonized? I will give you a very simple flow, and that is the stomach flow, and really only the anchor step. You can find the full sequence in a book by Alice Burmeister that is called The Touch of Healing on Amazon. That's how I started a decade, 15 years ago with that. So you can find it, but you can find it under a different name. You're not going to see the stomach function. You're going to find it as the anterior descending energy. But in my experience, I have had a tremendous fun by simply doing the anchor step, and that is what I'm going to show you today. The anchor step of the stomach function energy is by taking one hand and placing it here at the cheekbone. This is the Jin Shin Jyutsu Safety Energy Lock 21, and Mary Burmeister, the Japanese American woman who brought this art from Japan to the United States and popularized it in the 60s and the 70s, the 80s. She called this position the limiting beliefs. But you can think of it more as the release. If you keep this safety energy lock, or this area free, energetically speaking, you can actually overcome your limiting beliefs, with all that inner critic telling you what you can do and what you cannot do. So anyway, the anchor step for the stomach function, you place your hand here. So you cross with one hand, you cross your face. If you want to do the other side, you cross again. So the top hand is crossed, placed here at the cheekbone, safety energy lock 21, and the bottom hand goes here at the clavicle, safety energy lock 22. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, Mary Burmeister called this location happy and content wherever I am. So you can see how powerful this intent here is, because the top safety energy lock 21 frees you from your limiting beliefs, helps you go beyond everything that you have placed as breaks, what you cannot do, what you are not capable of doing, and what you should not be doing. Don't worry, you will never go beyond, you'll never go overboard. And that's the whole point of this Mars in Gemini, right? Because you can see how you can easily go overboard with the glib language, and you go sharp and sarcastic and plain and mean to yourself, others, and put it on social media on the day when your moon crosses your midheaven, and all of a sudden you'll gain notoriety there, and get all those trolls there. But anyway, I'll talk about moon over the midheaven on another day. I wanted just to say that you don't have to worry about going overboard. The Jin Shin Jyutsu art, the art is about harmonizing. So the intent has always been and continues to be harmonize, find the middle. So when you place your hand here 21 at the cheekbone, at the clavicle at 22, you are giving permission to your energetic circuitry to express itself in the most aligned way. So this is where you can actually safely say, I'm going to indulge my Mars in Gemini and have fun and enjoy myself, and I'm going to have all the clever glib comebacks whenever it's appropriate, and I will not express anything beyond that appropriate level. Keep the hands for about so the classic instruction is 3 to 5 minutes. And so if you're in a hurry, 3 minutes is probably enough. Excuse me, because I prefer to keep the anchor for a long time. And a lot of times I skip the rest of the sequence. I like to hold it for 10 to 15 minutes. Somewhere around 10 to 15 minutes, I feel this energy in my head draining down. And, most of us spend most of the time in our heads. We are such a mental civilization, especially the Western. And so a lot of it, we are in our hands. The rumination, the talking to yourself, the regrets, the plotting, going over what someone said to you, excuse me. And so there is a lot of energy in our heads, and this flow will actually allow for that energy to freely flow, start flowing down into the chest area, and it will guide it all the way to the toes. So you can actually see the energy here from the head going through the body and nourishing the rest, because that is what the downside is. Not only we're full of our thoughts, and we are on the verge of exploding, metaphorically, our heads, but the rest of the body remains malnourished. And so there it is, the stomach function energy, or keeping your Mars in Gemini in alignment for the next month or so that you can actually have fun.